Hey everyone, so today I just want to talk about ants, those tiny insects we often overlook. But guess what? So they've just set up homes almost everywhere on like land, just like from scorching deserts and lush rainforests to like chilly pine forests, and even that corner of your backyard. Ants are always so busy no matter where they are. Some scientists actually say that if you just look at their sheer numbers, just like how widespread they are and like their impact on ecosystems, ants might just be like the true rulers of Earth, like how awesome ants are. So just let me just share a few jaw-dropping stories from all over the globe. This will really help you appreciate just like how impressive these little guys can be. First up, the red imported fire ants. So these guys are kind of like invasion masters. So originating in South America, they've spread to so many other places thanks to global trade and shipping. It are super numerous with complex nests. Step on one of their nests by accident and you'll just get swarmed by like thousands of them. So their bites are just like so painful. And red fire ants aren't just like a threat to humans. They also mess with like local plants and animals. They destroy like crops and attack other like really small creatures. The craziest part, next, the bullet ant from the South American rainforests. Their name isn't for nothing like getting stung by one feels like getting hit by like a bullet. Like the pain lasts for hours, just making people just jump in agony. Some indigenous tribes even use bullet ants in their coming of age rituals where like young guys wear gloves full of these ants to just like prove their bravery. So bullet ants have fierce stings, but they won't attack unless you threaten their nest. Researchers are studying their venom to see if it has any medical benefits. So there's a lot of potential there. Then there are like the weaver ants. So these ants are like incredible builders. They just use like silk produced by their larvae to stitch leaves together, creating like sturdy green nests. It's just like they have tiny sewing machines. Some worker ants carry the leaves into place while others use the silk to just like glue them together. Just like hundreds of ants work together to like build safe. After hearing these examples, you probably think ants are pretty like badass, right? But this is just like the tip of the iceberg. Ants have actually just been around since the late Cretaceous period, which actually means they've been here since the time of the dinosaurs. That's actually over 100 million years. Entomologists actually believe that ants share a pretty common ancestor with wasps and bees. So their success really boils down to their social structure. So from early on, ants developed really strong group cooperation and increasingly specialized roles. You'll find ants in all sorts of environments like the equatorial rainforests, dry deserts, and even like cold high latitude areas. Maybe some sort of ants can handle like extreme heat by being active during like cooler parts of the day. And so ant society is super organized from the moment they're eggs. It's just decided whether they'll become like queens, like workers, or like soldiers. And basically everything starts with the queen and her eggs in a well-established colony. So the queen is really just like the main reproductive figure after mating. She really focuses on laying eggs, sometimes producing thousands in her lifetime. Worker ants take care of the eggs, just maintaining the right temperature and humidity and just keeping everything just so clean and just so safe. So once the eggs hatch into larvae, how so? Their fed determines their future roles. Larvae don't have like legs or wings, so like workers like feed them using their like mouth. So the nutrients they receive decide if they become soldiers or have the potential to develop into new queens. More like protein and a whole need for defense can actually turn like a pretty larva into like a soldier. So if conditions are just right and the queen releases specific pheromones, so like a larva might develop into the next queen, gaining reproductive abilities. So like that, they enter the pupal stage where their bodies undergo major changes. Soldiers grow really stronger, like jaws. So workers become smaller and more agile. And so queens really just develop the ability to reproduce and fly when they emerge from the pupal stage. So new ants need a few hours or days to harden their bodies before heading to their roles. So most become like workers handling foraging, nest building, caring for the young and like cleaning. Soldiers defend the colony, and maybe some species even have like honey storing ants like dedicated to just gathering sugar. This customized development from egg to adult gives like ant societies like incredible like flexibility and stability. A massive ant colony can have thousands of ants working together so seamlessly. How do they coordinate so well? So it's really, really all about chemical signals and antennae just kind of touch it. And ants don't have a central commander. Instead, they just use pheromones for distributed decision, just like making. So, for example, if an ant finds food, it just releases like a specific scent while just leaving a trail back to the nest. If the colony is under attack, soldier ants just release an emergency pheromone to call more soldiers for backup. Pheromones can convey lots of messages, just like follow me, or just like this path is just blocked. For more precise communication, ants actually use their antennae to kind of like touch each other. So like a soldier might tap a worker to say, oh, we actually need help inside, or workers might actually signal each other to reinforce a part of the nest. Once there are enough soldier ants and the workers are actually supporting them, ants engage in fierce battles over resources or territory. So ant wars are actually pretty common. Soldier ants act exactly like a steel guard, just like standing at the nest's edge. When intruders invade, they attack immediately and just release alarm pheromones just to call more ants. Probably dozens or even hundreds of ants swarm and bite their opponents. Some species of venom or whatever can spray special substances to push the enemy back. So when facing equally tough opponents, worker ants, so play the role of logistics like moving larvae and pupa, transporting supplies, and repairing tunnels. After a victory, they just like clean up the like battlefield, bring enemy debris or larvae back to the nest, and sometimes even raise enemy ants as slave ants. So if there are losses, the queen just quickly lays more eggs to replenish the soldiers. So ants aren't just like fighters, so they're also amazing at farming and herding. So some ants have developed like entire agricultural and herding systems that are truly impressive. Just take leafcutter ants, for example. So they're like the ultimate fungus farmers. So worker ants collect leaves, basically bring them back to the nest, grind them into pieces to prevent unwanted fungi from invading. So they produce special chemicals or just rely on symbiotic bacteria to keep harmful microbes in check. So soldier ants patrol the farms to fend off like any kind of threat. Some kind of ants, like herd aphids, protecting them from predators like ladybugs. They basically keep the aphids around to collect the sugary honeydew they produce. So when it gets cold or conditions are really, really, really tough. So ants even bring aphid eggs back to the nest for warmth, then release them onto new plants like the next year. Soldier ants also like patrol to protect their whole. So basically this whole farming and herding setup shows that ants have basically evolved a pretty sophisticated economic system while humans only figured out agriculture tens of thousands of years ago. Ants have a huge impact on ecosystems. They just help turn over soil, move fallen leaves and animal carcasses, and like speed up the decomposition of organic matter. Ants also aid in seed dispersal. Some seeds have oil. Rich attachments like that attract ants. Literally, just like after ants eat the oil, they just carry the seeds back to like their nests or like nearby area in the food chain. Ants are both predators and prey. They catch smaller insect like larvae, helping control pest populations. Ants inspire us in so many ways, especially in construction. So some researchers pour plaster or metal into ant nests, just kind of like let it harden and then just dig it out. So the internal structures are incredibly complex. Right, so in the realms of swarm intelligence and computer science, so ants' distributed decisions, so making and pheromone navigation have led to the whole development of ant colony, always algorithms in agriculture and pest control. So ants can be both helpers and pests. So some ants protect aphids, harming crops, while others eat like harmful insects, so really benefiting farmers. So basically just utilizing like these natural predator relationships could reduce pesticide use. However, invasive species like red fire ants cause significant ecological and economic damage. Additionally, some ant venoms contain active molecules that might have antibacterial, pain relieving, or other medical applications, though more like just research and safety testing. So imagine if all ants suddenly vanished from Earth. At first glance, it might not seem like a big deal, since ants aren't really a direct food source. For humans, first decomposition would slow down. Ants help break down soil, so move like leaves and transport like animal carcasses, facilitating like secondary decomposition. So without them, that like second plants that just depend on like ants for like seed dispersal would lose their delivery service. Like seeds would stay put, like limiting plant spread and affecting forest and grassland renewal. Third, animals that rely on ants as a kind of primary food source. So like antators, like pangolins and like certain birds would really just struggle to find enough protein. They might compete for other food sources or see their populations like plummet. But lastly, insect diversity would actually change. So ants are predators to many small insects. So without them, maybe some pest populations might just explode. Additionally, without ants just as competitors. So just overall, so if ants suddenly disappeared, we might not see immediate geological changes. But over time, maybe soil health, plant life, and food webs would probably face pretty serious disruption. Looking ahead, there are still so many unanswered questions about ants. Some species like form supercolonies where multiple nests coexist peacefully and collaborate. Almost like a massive ant empire. For example, Argentine ants just invading new areas behave this way, making life pretty tough for native species, just like how they recognize each other and just kind of like build these. Ants' learning and memory abilities are also really fascinating. They can actually just remember their way home, distinguish friends from foes, and sometimes even just show like innovative. That lastly, like, could ant societies have like culture or traditions? Like, we often discuss this in like primates or marine mammals, but some speculate that like ants might pass down certain nest like building techniques or like food preferences within their group. By ants do really have the beginnings of culture. It would completely change our understanding of insect societies. However, this requires more long-term, obviously, like observation and experimentation. That's it for today's So Deep Dive into the world of ants. I hope so. After just hearing this, you'll pay a bit more attention to these tiny creatures just because they're just truly like the sort of hidden big players on our planet.